Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every damn dirty minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. Across from me, I've got Richard and Sean. Hello, Richard and Sean.
Hey guys, I know.
It does feel like a little bit of time has passed, but you know what? It was only Friday when we were last together.
It's only been like 2 days, I guess.
So I'm going to start off and say that we're going to toss in something that when we see this occur, it's a little housekeeping. We got a 5-star review from a gentleman named Joe Meeb. And Joe, if I've mispronounced your last name, please, my apologies, but I assume that's how it's pronounced. He says, "This is my favorite film series. I'm only 25 episodes in, but I always look forward to the next minute episode. I'm looking forward to other films as well. As if you guys wanted to do a minute-long episode on all the Planet of the Apes 2001, I don't think anyone would mind too much. Thanks for being faithful to a great and meaningful series." So, Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to rate us.
That's awesome.
Anybody that goes out there and finds it does help us, Apple especially, their algorithm, you've got to rate it. It's not just how many people are clicking it, it's how many rate it. So take the time, if you don't mind, to rate it. Let your friends know, tell them to rate it. We had another 5-star review. No one left their name, and it was the weirdest comment. It was something about the back door is here or something, and I thought, I don't know what that means.
I meant it to say the back door will bring you to enlightenment. I didn't leave that review.
Was that you?
No.
So anyway.
You all gave me the weirdest looks there when I started saying
I know. I was like, oh.
Well, we didn't know what to think because, Sean occasionally will throw out those things, but
you never know.
So anyway, Sean.
All right, we're at the minute 86, right?
Minute 86.
Taylor exiting the back of the cage cart, and it ends with Cornelius saying, "That planet of yours." And as of minute 86, we still have our 2 living humans, our 2 poor dead humans, Todd and Stewart, a shootiness of apes, and a gaggle of humans. So Cornelius claimed that they have the best guns. What are the worst guns? Is what I want. Is that just fingers?
Well,
pew,
we
pew,
did talk
pew,
about
pew.
early on, Sean, that their guns allow them to aim from the hip.
That's true.
And maybe the best guns are the ones that you put here and you don't need to aim.
The best guns are the ones you never have to pull.
So when Taylor kind of abruptly jerks on the thing to kind of get out of this the wagon,
The easiest lock to unlock ever.
Yeah, and it's just kind of weird because that kind of first moment, Nova is panicked. She is like, something is going on with her. She's like walking away, looking around,
right.
And I'm like, I would have been happy to have my freedom, I guess. I don't know what she's looking for. There was also an interesting note that kind of the first line as he gets out is Cornelius to Taylor is like, "Well, Taylor, we're all fugitives now." So is he updating Taylor on him and Zira's status by saying that we're all fugitives now?
Yeah, how long has it been between the trial or whatever the courtroom scene was and them escaping so that Cornelius and Zira know that something has happened to them so that they're in trouble too?
And I think that it's obviously been just a matter of hours maybe since the escape. There's nothing that...
A whole night has passed, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
At most, a little bit of writing to get away.
Even that scene that I had mentioned before
The day
with
for night
the
stuff.
hunters
Yes.
coming up to them, it was still part of that entire nighttime scene.
Yeah.
It hasn't-
That's right. I forgot about that.
It hasn't been days. But it's just kind of interesting that is Cornelius looking for sympathy? Like we're doing this. I mean,
Or is it we're a band of brothers
Yeah,
now?
I
We're
think
all
that's
the same.
more
That's
like-
kind of what I took
Taylor,
out of it.
Okay.
you
Well,
were
I
in
guess.
trouble, Taylor, but we're all in it now. So
But
we're in it
Because we
together.
all kind of believe in, you know what, even though you're crazy in this crazy idea of, I'm sorry, where was he from? Where did he say he was from? Taylor?
URF? Earth?
No, he said there was
Like Fort
Wayne,
Indiana.
okay,
like that,
so
yeah.
there's a crazy idea of you're being from Fort Wayne, all these kind of things, but now they're on board. At least we're here with you.
Yeah.
So, but when Cornelius is saying we're all fugitives now, I guess he's updating Taylor on their status. Now, Taylor should have known their status because Zayas kind of revealed what was going to happen to Zira and Cornelius in the chamber. But we're all fugitives now, suggesting that Taylor is also a fugitive, and he's not. I mean, he's running from from this horrible prison situation, but that doesn't make him fugitive because he wasn't part of that society. I mean, it was just kind of
a wild dog isn't a fugitive.
I just found fugitive kind of a weird.
Yeah.
Okay, but a fugitive. Well, okay. Using Sean's analogy, and you're saying that if a dog escapes a kennel, it's not a fugitive; it's simply a dog on the loose.
Right.
But there's something about that he's a sentient being. He's a fugitive. I get why they're saying that. I mean,
but they're trying to hide the
they
fact
imprisoned
that he's a
him.
sentient being. Yeah. So, the fact that he spoke in the courtyard was a surprise to everybody.
So if you speak and it's a surprise, it's not a crime against.
Well, no. If a bird, if a parrot or something flies in and sits on your knee and then says cock-a-doodle-doo, you don't go, oh my goodness, this bird can speak, it's sentient. It just said something strange to you. So
can I say that when we finally get around to making merchandise, I know exactly. No, Sean constantly brings up if a cow, if a bird, if a dog.
Exactly.
He's going to be the Dr. Doolittle of this podcast.
But I mean, there's some point there will be an analogy that will make sense for the humans being some sort of animal in the monkey society.
But we exactly, we're in a monkey society, so we're actually discussing things in animal term, even though there's probably a larger socio-political issue happening between races.
Right.
On its simplicity level, we can do the animal analogies because we're faced with animals that are doing things.
Hey, look, I'm just drinking. I'm just trying to come up with ideas here, all right?
Oh.
Is anyone surprised that Sean started off Monday with a beer in his hand?
It feels like it's been a month since I've done this.
I would like a beer, please.
You have to wait, sir.
I'm not drinking.
You wait till you get fit.
It's part of a challenge.
I like the fact that Taylor is just done taking shit now. He says he doesn't want a gun, but he doesn't need a gun, but he wants one anyway.
Well, he totally
you don't need a gun. I want one anyways.
Cornelius is just like, well, Taylor, we're all fugitive now. Or Cornelius is like, hey, well, Taylor, we're all fugitive now. Taylor's like, got any weapons?
Yep.
Any guns? And you're like, I really don't even care. He does not even care.
Weapon up.
Cornelius. Yeah.
The rifles were modeled after American M1 semi-automatic carbines, which were used primarily in World War II. We questioned that early on about were they a real type of gun or not. They were actually apparently wood slapped on top of that kind of gun.
Oh, but we're supposed to believe that these aren't the actual original, that these are.
Okay. So that gets into that Sean doesn't know the end of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I do question that with.
He knows the big.
Well, I know the reveal, but I have not seen the last 20 minutes.
Then I'm gonna jump ahead because it is only 20-ish minutes away now.
Fair. I'm just talking about knowing what.
I know the pop culture beat. I know the pop culture beat would be
the pop culture reveal
whether these weapons are actually
yes
that or not.
Yeah.
They completely reveal what Richard's saying. To that point, can you see that? Did the apes somehow get these weapons? Are they artifacts of another civilization gone by?
Because everything is uniquely human, from the wagons to, I mean, that's why it looks so familiar to us.
Which goes back into stuff we talked about in previous minutes, where they've harnessed horses, they've done leather working, they made clothes for themselves. Obviously, they made shoes for themselves because they're feet size instead of being human foot size. They have these weirdly shaped bars in prisons that aren't exactly straight, yet they have these perfectly made guns because it's not like a barrel can be kind of just a little bit off. It has to be straight. Otherwise,
but the gun still has a very crude nature to it with the wood casing around it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know that these are the guns that they found, but maybe they understood the mechanics because they found a gun in some of these
down somehow.
Yeah, and they looked at it, and this is how it works and why it works. Maybe there were bullets, but it makes sense because how many years did Taylor say he's been gone?
Well, it's got to be
3,
at least 1,700 or something like that.
I thought he was gone 3,000 years. God Almighty, that seems like so long ago since we listened to the first of the movie.
So the next one he goes, "Do you have any weapons, any guns?" And Cornelius says, "The best, but we don't need them." So Cornelius is not anticipating any type of situation.
Yet.
Or getting involved in any type of situation.
Yet, we know, without getting into the coming minutes, they obviously know that people are going to be chasing them.
Right.
They aren't going to be coming to shake hands. Now, they may be coming to throw rope nets at them.
Or whips or whatever.
But he doesn't believe that they'll need guns. I found that to be a very odd statement.
Okay, so the best, we won't need them, was a unique statement. The next line when he says, Cornelius is glad to hear, I want one anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. My first question was to defend himself, and my second one was he doesn't want to get retaken.
Yes, I agree with that.
Dark that he was at first I thought, it's
he will not be a prisoner again.
He will not be a prisoner again.
Right.
Yeah. So it's there's kind of a dark meaning behind that.
And then two things I noticed. There was really good more mask acting with Roddy McDowell.
Oh yeah, he had a bunch of nose twitches.
Yeah, with his frustration when he goes, "I want one anyways." He just like.
Yet there was some weird stuff
face.
with the makeup in the 3-shot. That the tone of the chimpanzee makeup, the snout was darker than the eyes. Now I don't know if that was the color correction on the film. Okay. Maybe for the day for night, it hit him and did that. But if you go back and watch that, his brow is almost like a pasty white compared to the brownish of the muzzle.
Yeah, I see that. I can see that right here. Yeah.
By the way, Richard
is
watching the movie on his phone while we're doing this.
I wonder in 68.
I mean, I've watched the movie.
He's watching me. He's
reminding
myself
of some of the shots.
Yes.
In 68, to do day for night, half of a screen up, you'd probably have to put a mat on it. So you only affected that, which would make sense as to why the makeup is
depending
weird.
on where they hit you.
It's just really weird.
Well, I mean, you go back to the scenes that we did inside the city itself. They're very much contained scenes, and here we're just out in a field where there's not so much that lighting wise they can do in the daytime.
Right.
There's not a lot of lighting they can do to affect the harsh light. I mean, they can shine some light up.
Sure.
They can try and flood some stuff out, but they're still getting a lot of daylight. I mean, even when they're in the amphitheater, there's somewhat of a self-contained set where they can actually kind of do some giant, bigger lights.
Yeah.
And I'm just guessing. I'm not a lighting expert.
Well, I mean, we've talked about how much they cut corners in the production of this film so that they could spend money on the makeup. They do stage a lot of it outside. You're still, even if you don't use lights, you're going to use bounce to get the light in there. So they've done stuff, but in this shot, it's just
we need to go back and see if the wagon is refarmed from like Bonanza. Or something like that.
I wouldn't doubt it, but there are a lot of notes too that say they made a lot of money on the tail end from repurposing the props and sets from this into other things.
Oh yeah.
Which again, Fraggle Rock,
So Flintstones or whatever.
Yes.
So Cornelius then kind of exerts himself. Well, he said, "Glad I want one anyway." And there's this kind of moment where Zero looks at Cornelius as if to kind of pull him back a little bit, right? And then Cornelius kind of gets his gumption up and says, "Now look here, Taylor. I'm in charge of this expedition."
Yeah, he's the boss. Applesauce.
I'm the boss. But it was just kind of was Zero kind of pulling him back. I wonder what Cornelius wanted to say. Did he immediately want to launch into some type of hostility? It was just kind of a fascinating moment where Zero just kind of tugs him back a little bit as if to pull him back from doing what he really wanted to say or do.
So I found the whole scene, honestly, to be rather stilted in the flow. And I wondered, and I don't know what your script will show, but it felt like there were conversations that were cut. That it just never felt like it was a true conversation, people talking back and forth, and that was a primary reason. Are there things in this moment that are cut out?
No. There's some stuff coming up in the minutes we'll be talking about this week where there was some stuff that was cut, but this is almost word for word the script with a couple of, good for you instead of fair enough, things like that. There wasn't anything dramatic.
So changes the actor might make simply for the character, but that's
exactly.
it.
A couple of word switching. The actor just maybe not remember the line exactly, things like that. Nothing specific.
I think that the subjective nature of watching a movie like this makes me start anticipating, did they do something here when it doesn't feel right? So again, it just feels, it's the same as when Taylor wants a gun. It's just so abrupt that it made me wonder, was there something else that precipitated that made him think that?
Well, I mean, if we go back to that situation that in the script that didn't happen, where they encounter the hunters, maybe he now realizes how important it is. I mean,
that's a good point.
He was locked up in a wagon for all night long.
Which also, he's in that wagon. Why is he so damn sweaty? It's nighttime.
The oil-based sweat of the 60s.
What, was it because of the encounter they had? But he literally steps out and he looks like a Greek god because he is glistening in the nighttime sky.
Nova, listen to me. You don't notice this, but my scar is completely healed on my shoulder.
Oh my!
At this point, that's how long
is it gone?
Been.
It's gone.
The scar is completely healed on his shoulder. Gone. That's how long it's been that he's been in captivity.
He's still wearing a neck restraint, but it's gone.
Is it?
Okay. He's been totally healed, yeah.
Is this the moment when he very dramatically tosses the neck restraint away, or is that?
Oh, yes, that's part. I have this. Taylor is finally getting to work on that collar and getting it removed.
Because what I love Is
it's
what
so frustrating with it too.
What I thought is he was a third-rate quarterback in high school because, when you watch a quarterback, before they throw, they'll pat the ball and then they'll throw it. He takes that thing off, slaps it in his hand, and then throws it. And all I could think of was Napoleon Dynamite about throwing the ball over the mountain.
I threw it over the mountain.
So when Cornelius comes back to him and says, I'm in charge of that expedition. Okay, so our first tip there, in charge of the